Now, I haven't done so much work abroad. No, okay, let's look at your experience in America.
Okay.
That is quite different from UK.
Yes.
Yeah, so you did a little bit of, was it pro bono? Did you do it free of charge?
Okay, so when I moved to America, I was doing a certificates course for the first year, and then after that, I started working. So I worked for a non-profit organization in Massachusetts, and it was a non-profit organization focused solely on education. So education at different levels: formal, informal, primary, well, high school, middle school, there, tertiary level. So I always worked within the space of gender and technology. So my very first job there, I was working as a research assistant, and I was working on a research project where we were looking at how men and women use the internet for learning.
Amazing.
And
so what did you discover?
yes, we discovered that obviously, well, we were looking in that particular project, we were looking at a group of teachers, and we found out that the way that they used, we were looking at it through an online course that we had designed for them, and then we would observe their interaction, their communication, and then we would analyze that. We found that the women were very conversational in the way that they related to each other, and we found that a lot of the men were more, let's get straight to the point. Okay, this is what we're discussing. This is the question. This is the answer. So we realized that for a lot of women who were exposed to these tools, they quickly embraced the social aspect of it, that they can use it to not only get information,
but to make friends,
to strengthen existing relationships and networks that they already had. And that's something that eventually we in w.tec tried, translated in some of our programs, where we try to highlight the social network building aspects of, information technology.
Yeah, very sharp girl. Now, so you saw an opportunity, you turn it around to some kind of, it's a niche business for you now. You know that? Okay, now, so let's bring it back home. So when you got into Nigeria, we are now convinced, look, this is the way to go.
Well, I was convinced before I came back to Nigeria. When I was doing my master's in information systems, I was looking at, we did courses in like IT policy for development, and I've always been very interested in women. So whatever I'm looking at or studying, I always want to find out how it relates to women, how it affects women. So I started reading up about that, and I realized that, in the African continent, women are very underrepresented in the information technology field. It's a bit harder to pinpoint exactly because, especially for Africa and a lot of the developing world, there is a lack of real data. Exactly, yes. A lot of the data that exists will tend to be for more developed countries, so like for the US, not so much for here. What you will find for here are like small studies or samples, exactly, and generalizations, extrapolations based on some small studies. So, but even from my own personal experience and my observation of the workplace, I also realized that was true, that there are a lot fewer women working in the technology space than men, and even in terms of access and use as well, there are fewer women who have access to information technology. I think that is also changing now, because obviously the technology is changing, it's becoming more affordable, and the ways that we, for instance, access the internet is different from how it was back then, where you needed a whole setup, desktop computer, ISP, and all that. Now you can have like your handheld device, and basically, you're on, exactly, you're online. So things are also evolving and changing. But historically, the trend has been that, women have had less access to this infrastructure, also less education, which has made them not understand necessarily the benefits of
these technology. Exactly. Now, okay, so we are now looking at Women's Technology Empowerment Center.
Yes.
What do you really do to empower them? Do you put some muscles? I mean, you help them to build up their muscles, or you give them some
technological muscles. Yes.
Okay, so tell us how you do this. What is the entry point? What is the captive audience? How long will they be there?
Yes.
And then what do they come out with at the end of the day?
Okay, so we work with women and girls across different ages and different backgrounds. Our youngest target program is our technology camp. We work with secondary school girls. And so we run a series of camps through the year.
Wait now.
Okay.
Don't be in a rush.
Okay.
You work with secondary school girls.
Yes.
From
the ages
from
of
all the top schools.
No. It's a mix. So private and public schools, mostly public schools. So for instance, in any given program that we have, we'll have maybe like 2/3 of the girls from public schools, and then less privileged backgrounds, and then 1/3 from a different, maybe
Others,
private
yes,
schools.
yes.
Yeah, because we realize that even if you go to a private school, it doesn't necessarily mean that
Like you can have access to.
Exactly. Yes. So we look at the girls on an individual basis. We invite nominations from schools, from alumni. We get to meet them. We do some tests. We look at their background. We assess, for need as well. And then based on that, we invite, some girls to the camp because we can't take, everybody.
Okay, so the entry age will be like what? 10?
So for that,
14?
11.
20?
11 for the camp. 11 to 17. That's for the camp. And that's training. So we do technology training. When we first started the camp in 2008, we mostly focused on use. So for instance, understanding a computer, okay, this is the monitor, this is, the different parts, and then using existing tools, maybe like Microsoft Word, Excel. Now we're shifting more towards the girls actually creating and developing applications, exactly. So we recently concluded a camp about 2 weeks ago on August 24th, and there we taught the girls how to program. So we introduced them to programming, building web applications, building websites, also shooting films. So for instance, like, what's happening right here, but of course using the simpler cameras and editing it. So they were actually creating content and creating applications.
That's a lot of empowerment, Now, okay, but how long will this run for these kids, for these children?
Okay.
Sorry.
So the camp is 2 weeks. The first camp was 1 week, and then over the years we've expanded it to 2 weeks, and now we also have 2 camps a year where we used to have 1. And then what we're doing is we're going to launch a technology club where we can keep on working with the girls after the camp is over, exactly, so they don't lose their skills. Or, some of them want to go on and do other things, but they need support, they need help, they need, mentoring. So we'll be doing that through the club with the secondary school girls.
Okay, now this is commendable. But now, are you being paid by the secondary schools, or how do you get funded to take care of these children? How do you put up the facilities? How do you get all this done?
Okay.
Do you have sufficient, like, you have enough laptops they're going to, or main system they're going to work with, and all? Do you have all those things laid out?
Okay, so the thing is that when you decide that you want to do something and you're very determined, you find a way to do it, and along the way you find people who are interested and will support you. The very first year we ran the camp, it was just a pilot, just to see how it would be. We had just 15 girls, and we got a seed grant from this organization called Anita Borg Institute for Women and Technology. They're based in the US, and they support initiatives, like ours. So they gave us a seed grant, and we used that, and then the rest was from us, and then
your friends,
and family.
Dad,
exactly,
mom,
yes,
uncles.
Yes. And throughout the years, it was like that, and the camp was free for the girls. By the 3rd year, we decided that wasn't a sustainable model, exactly. So we introduced a fee, because we realized that in order to keep up the quality and not just keep it but increase it, we needed to make sure that we had money coming in. And if we were not getting money from donor agencies, we needed to see how we could generate funding by ourselves. So we introduced the fee. But what we do is, because our target and our passion is the girls from the less privileged backgrounds who cannot afford it, we still have to raise money, to cover them. So for instance, we say that, okay, it costs this amount,
to run the program for
to
a
run
child.
A program. Exactly. So we look for people who can pay, who can sponsor girls. So people will say, okay, I'll sponsor 1 girl, I'll sponsor 2 girls, I'll sponsor 3 girls, and so that's how we do it. And then we also get support from in-kind support, lots of times from organizations. So I think over the years it has gotten a bit easier, because one thing I'll say in Nigeria, the NGO space is vibrant and it's full. And sometimes when you come, you approach an organization or a potential donor agency, and they say, oh, another NGO.
They have a soft feature.
Yes. They're fed up, and then there's also maybe a lack of credibility among some NGOs in not using funds judiciously. So you have to prove yourself over the years. So I mean, that's something that we've had to deal with. Exactly, yes. So I mean, for instance, like this last camp that we just concluded, we had some funding from the Internet Society, They're a worldwide
Yeah,
organization,
yes.
exactly, and their mission is to get everybody online. So we had some support from them, and then also from GE General Electric. They provided laptops for us to use. So we actually spent 2 days of the camp in their offices, and their staff taught the girls, the
How to
programming
use, yes.
classes, exactly. And then we had career talks, so they actually interacted with top executives working in
that
GE
company.
from that company, exactly.
Now, you see, this is, I'm a little bit distressed now because you see, already this seems to be coming all the way from outside of here. So the question would be, what is happening to our own people? We don't have organizations here that are this sensitive to the needs of the environment. Is that what we're saying?
Well, I mean, I think that you do have some organizations.
Some.
Yes.
That's in quotes. you are being nice now.
Well, I would say that from a business person's point of view, I guess they're in business to make money. I suppose.
It's not in business to make money.
Yes, they are. But the thing is that you also have your social values. So if your social values align with, I guess, maybe the organizations or the NGOs that are coming up to you. So for instance, GE is passionate about supporting girls in technology. So it was a perfect merger. We also received support from Intel as well. They also donated laptops as prizes that we gave out to some of the top girls. And they also hosted a career session. So they are also passionate about girls in, not just girls in technology, but girls education.
Yes.
So that was good. So it's not every organization or company that may necessarily, I guess,
see that as
important or maybe is aligned with them. There are a lot of organizations that are quite involved in social development. For some of them it's health, some of them it's water, some of them it's different areas. So it's also important to find the organizations that key into
what you want to do.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's bring it home.
Yes.
So why should the girl child have some kind of bias or favor or how would I put it, special treatment?
I would not say special treatment at all.
Or not special treatment?
No, I would not say special treatment at all, because if you find that women have maybe been historically marginalized and as a result are underrepresented in a certain field, if there are interventions that are educating them, providing education for them, mentoring support for them, it's not a special treatment. It's just a way to counteract the imbalance.
So you think there's an imbalance?
Yes, there's an imbalance. Definitely there's an imbalance.
But you know that you have said before on this program that we don't have data to prove this. You probably just be presumption?
No, it's not presumption, because there's not like data in terms of access to technology, at least on a wide scale in Nigeria, but there are small sample studies. So from those small sample studies, you can get an idea of what's the global picture.
No, but it's amazing because you see all these guys doing all these things, pinging and everything and all that and all over the whole place. And that seems to have taken up the entire space. So why are you telling me that it's imbalance? There's no imbalance.
If you look at the young generation, maybe you look at your niece or your daughter, yes, there is a generational divide. If you look at the workplace, you look at maybe in your organization, you look at most technology companies, how many of them are headed by women? You have MTN, which is headed by the chief technology officer is a woman. You have Main One,
so you can count on your fingers.
Exactly. How many? And of course, our Honorable Minister of Communications Technology is also a woman. But I mean, they're few and far.
Million.
Exactly. So there is that generational divide because there are historical, imbalances that have existed. So it will take some time before those imbalances correct themselves, but they won't correct themselves by themselves. You will find a certain maybe class or group of young ladies who take to the technology, but even they need support and access and mentoring. So for instance, in our camp, like I mentioned, we have both girls from less privileged backgrounds and privileged, exactly, and all of them benefit from the camp, some more than others, but they all do, because apart from the training we do, we provide dedicated training for that period, so they are learning new things. But then we also have career talks as well. We have women who are already working using technology, either in the technology space, or maybe they just happen to be using technology in very significant ways in their work, and they come and talk to the young ladies. So
role model them.
Exactly. So you find that even the women from, even the girls who are from fairly privileged backgrounds are still like, wow, I had no idea that, there's a woman who is running this company that I always see all the time. Are you serious? And then they get a stronger sense of, self and the possibilities that exist for them.
them.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, but